So, we are coming off the tail of Roe v. Wade getting overturned. You are no longer federally protected with your rights to get an abortion. And this is pretty bad. Losing rights is never good. The thing is, that's not going to be the end of it. I hope you guys know that, right? That's not going to be the end of it. This is only the start. Obviously, things like gay marriage are also on the chopping block, but one of the biggest issues that is going to be on the ballot, pretty much, is contraception. Your ability to access contraception, your right to access contraception, is very much on the line in this next coming election. The Republicans have telegraphed their plan to eliminate those rights next because they see the existence of contraception as an enabler of sexual degeneracy. Now, if you want to join a group that is actively helping to fight to preserve your rights for contraceptive access, particularly in states where the Republicans are waging war against it strongest, I'm going to put a link in chat right now from Zanbot to Progressive Victory. That link will lead you to a place where you can volunteer. And you will be able to phone bank, you'll be able to canvass. There is all sorts of work they're going to have for you to do if you go and volunteer for Progressive Victory. They are actively fighting and working with the Democratic Party to keep your contraceptive rights intact, even with a conservative majority Supreme Court. Seriously, you need to check them out. Tons of progressive YouTubers are working with them right now, including me for a while now. They're a really good group. They are doing great shit, so if you want to actually do something, and you want to do something even from the safety and the shelter of your own home, they've got work for you. So go check out Progressive Victory. Seriously, they're doing great work. That said, I've got an article here from The New Yorker that I think will help elucidate why what Progressive Victory is doing is so damn important. And it is from The New Yorker, and it is called The Next Targets for the Group That Overturned Roe v. Wade. Alliance Defending Freedom has won 15 Supreme Court cases. Now it wants religious exemptions to anti-discrimination laws, and it is going after trans rights. That's right, guys. The Alliance Defending Freedom. They're back. If you go back on my channel to a while ago, literally years ago, I've been talking about this group. Let's see what my earliest video covering them was. Nearly 3 years ago. Look at this. This is from 2 years ago when I lived in California. Hate group Alliance Defending Freedom supports pro-lifers harassing women at Planned Parenthood. And then 2 years ago as well, YouTube, stop showing me ads for this actual hate group, Alliance Defending Freedom. They're a massive money group of lawyers that basically specialize in suing progressive institutions and pushing with very well-paid, really, really good lawyers and big teams of these really good lawyers for anti-LGBT and anti- just anything as far as minority rights go legislation. They've got a lot of power and a lot of money. They're just a giant think tank of lawyers. On March 15th, 2023, two conservative Christian lawyers asked a federal judge in Amarillo, Texas, for a ruling that they privately considered an almost impossible long shot. They demanded a nationwide ban on minestrone, a pill used in half the abortions in America. The drug had been approved by the Food and Drug Administration for more than 20 years under both Republican and Democratic administrations. During the pandemic, the agency began allowing prescriptions to be filled by mail to accommodate social distancing. But the lawyers from a group called Alliance Defending Freedom were on a winning streak. Founded 3 decades ago as a legal defense fund for conservative Christian causes, ADF has become the movement's most influential arm. In the past dozen years, its lawyers had won 14 Supreme Court victories, including overturning Roe v. Wade, allowing employer-sponsored health insurance to exclude birth control, rolling back limits on government support for religious organizations, protecting the anonymity of donors to advocacy groups, blocking pandemic-related public health rules, and establishing the right of a baker to refuse to make a cake for same-sex weddings. That's right, guys. Pretty much every big conservative court case, that was them. That was fucking them, and I covered these guys years ago. And every big case that has happened over the years has been them in the background, barely their names reaching the surface. It has been them. These are the guys with all the money and all the legal power pushing this shit through. The Alliance Defending Freedom. They've got one of those real virtue signaling names too, of course. Capitalizing on its success, ADF had tripled its revenue over that period to more than $100 million a year. It now had 70 or so in-house lawyers, including the former Solicitors General of Michigan and Nebraska and the former United States Attorney of Missouri. The lawyers sent to Amarillo were Eric Baptiste, a former top lawyer for the Environmental Protection Agency under President Donald Trump. Yeah, he was the climate change denier that Donald Trump appointed as the head of the EPA. And Erwin Hawley, a Yale Law graduate who had clerked for Chief Justice John Roberts, advised the Attorney General under President George W. Bush, and worked on the team that overturned Roe. By the way, when it comes to like Yale and whatnot, those really high-tier universities, most of the admittance is nepotism. So like guy having graduated Yale, like it's not harder to graduate from Yale than it is any other university. It's just harder to get in. And if you have nepotism on your side, then it's easier to get in. So that's just how it is. Thanks to the rightward shift of the courts under Trump, ADF lawyers now often find a sympathetic audience on the federal bench. Filing the Post-Roe case in Amarillo enabled ADF to argue before Judge Matthew Kuxmark, a Trump appointee, of course, who had previously worked as the Deputy General Counsel of First Liberty Institute, a conservative Christian advocacy organization that had received grants from ADF the summer before. Kuxmark's chamber had chosen an intern from ADF program for law students. An alum program is clerking for him this fall. Other alumni clerked last term for Justice Samuel Alito and Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Many of the 60-odd members of the ADF's fundraising department gathered during the hearing to pray for a win, and in a video conference the next day, Lance Boslaw, ADF's senior vice president in development, told the staff that Aaron Hawley was super grateful. Even though the Amarillo judge was, quote, very friendly, Boslaw said upending a decades-old FDA approval was a tough thing to do. He said to the judge, maybe he gives us half of what we are seeking, say restoring limits on mail-order delivery. That alone would be huge. A left-leaning investigative organization called Documented provided me with leaked recordings of the video conference and other events, along with hundreds of pages of internal documents. That's a quote from the writer. Sorry, this is a very complicated story, and so it's hard to read aloud. The hearing itself, Boslaw noted, offered fundraising opportunities. Donations had been flat lately. Boslaw blamed the economy, but surely the reversal of Roe v. Wade had sapped some donors' motivation. The Post-Roe case had plunged ADF back into a galvanizing battle. One of Boslaw's lieutenants offered a potential fundraising pitch. If I told you 5 years ago that you could have invested in Roe v. Wade being overturned, how much would you have invested in that? If I tell you now that you're going to protect life even more, how much more do you want to invest in that? Boslaw framed the case yet more broadly beyond abortion or even Christianity, calling it a massive pushback on the FDA and the Biden administration from a regulatory standpoint. He noted that there was a ton of corruption in the bureaucratic state. In fact, he explained ADF was quietly revising its mission altogether to reflect both the changing times and the group's growing ambitions. Until now, ADF had cast itself as primarily defensive. In the words of one of its founders, its purpose was to keep the door open for the gospel, to prevent the American Civil Liberties Union and the courts from interfering with Christian ministry, to stop them from removing abortion from the jurisdiction of legislatures, and to keep religion in public life. But ADF leaders often said that the Bible wasn't just for the faithful, it was for universal guide to human flourishing. That means everybody has to follow it, whether they believe it or not. Accordingly, Boslaw told the fundraisers ADF was taking on less explicitly religious concerns, perhaps including corruption in the bureaucratic state. As though to reassure the staff that ADF wasn't abandoning its roots, Boslaw kept inserting biblical references into his explanation. Why do we exist as an organization? He asked. ADF exists to advance our God-given rights to live and speak the truth. He paused to let that sink in before adding the truth, the gospel. Of course, these guys are all performers, so they pause for the claps because they're not actually saying anything of value. They're just trying to please a crowd. The Alliance Defending Freedom is an organization of demons, and it needs to be stopped. Here is a recent video they put out a year ago that has not a lot of views, surprisingly, because this group mostly operates from within the shadows. The people who need to know who they are know who they are. This group does not want public, like, they don't want broad public attention.
All I just wanted to do was just share the gospel, share the good news with other people, and they came and stopped me.
I've been put in a position where I either stop doing what I love or communicate messages that violate my beliefs.
We really felt that there was disparagement in how we were being treated.
So these are all different people who are suing institutions because they want special treatment for being conservative Christians.
But then also what we felt was inappropriate and tremendous overreach on the part of the government.
I was interrogated by police many times, and those hearings, they lasted about 13 hours.
It's different when I know that it's not fair. Even before I get to the track, I already know that I'm not gonna get first place or maybe even second place.
News media portrayed us in such a negative light. But I think we have a great program, and for the government to dismiss us, it is punishment. Not fair to us, not fair to the kids, not fair to this community.
I like the Smash Bros mask.
Every generation has a battle to fight.
Genuinely embarrassing.
Our ancestors willingly endured, persevered, and
this is beyond disrespectful, by the way,
overcame extreme trials to leave us an inheritance of freedom. Today,
we're just
like
D-Day
facing an unprecedented challenge. We're safer and richer than ever before. But we're living in a culture that has rejected the very foundations upon which our liberty was built. Freedom cannot survive in a culture that has abandoned truth and rejected reality. This is the battle of our generation. Wherever human freedom is under attack, we stand ready to defend it.
Mast there.
Both at home and around the world, in courtrooms, legislatures, and the public square. You'll find us on the front lines. This is why Alliance Defending Freedom exists.
The Arizona Supreme Court ruling in favor of a pair of Christian artists.
A Finland court dismissed all charges of hate speech.
The Supreme Court sides with a former student of Georgia Gwinnett College.
Nevada Church is scoring a major victory in court.
Louisville wedding photographer has won her federal lawsuit.
We must protect Title IX and women's sports for the next generation.
Parents don't lose their constitutional rights when they enroll their children in public schools.
The principle established in this case will go along.
By the way, this group has been massively advertising on YouTube for years now unabated. They have been spending millions of dollars on YouTube ads. You've probably seen their ads on YouTube before. Usually they're animations, like PragerU videos.
Way for both free speech and religious freedom.
One powerful Christian legal organization has been planning a strategy to overturn Roe v. Wade. Their plan worked.
ADF is one team, a part of a broader alliance. We are Christ-centered. We are committed to selfless service and stewardship of our resources. We are committed to excellence. We are committed to victory.
They are committed to victory. Are you as committed to victory as them? Are you as committed to victory as them? If you are, click that link. Check out Progressive Victory. Volunteer and join an organization fighting against these goddamn ghouls, these demons that want to take your rights away with a smile on their face and say they're serving an almighty creator as they do it. Because guess what? You know they're after contraceptives next. They will effortlessly take away your rights to buy contraceptives, to possess them and to use them. Gay marriage is next in the chopping block, and you better believe they are not stopping anytime soon. They are on a streak of winning cases. They ensure that they get Trump-appointed judges, and they win almost every case. This group has to be stopped. Join Progressive Victory. Do something to fight against this, please. It's for your own good as Americans.